Bitcoin is absolutely booming. It's up around 600% since March last year, and a lot of institutions are now getting in, making this asset class a lot more mainstream and not just nerds on the dark web like it was considered before. Tesla announced they brought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, the biggest Bitcoin transaction in history. And what a lot of people are wondering, is it too late to get in this asset class, or are we still early, and are there still huge gains going to come that will take us to the moon? In this video, I want to go over what Bitcoin is, how the cryptocurrency markets work, what I learned from 2017, where some of you know that I got pretty badly burnt investing in the cryptocurrency market, so I have a unique perspective, and I will be going over if I think it's still early or if it's too late to invest right now. If this video brings you value, please drop a like for the whole YouTube algorithm. It really helps out the channel a lot. And comment below, what do you think about Bitcoin? Do you think it's still early, or do you think it's too late? And is there any other cryptocurrencies you're investing in? And please subscribe for more awesome content on the Australian property market, personal finance and investing. Wow guys, look at here, this was huge news. Tesla buys 1.5 billion in Bitcoin and plans to accept it as payment. Tesla announced in a SEC filing Monday that it brought 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. The company has also said it would start accepting Bitcoin as payment methods for its products. And CEO Elon Musk has been credited for raising the prices of cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, through his messages on Twitter. And also don't forget Dogecoin, which is up around 10x or 1,000% over the past few weeks. So we are seeing a lot of these big institutions getting in right now. And something that's very different in this market compared to the last market is this market is being driven by institutions, where in 2017 it was driven a lot by retail investors, and there was a lot of FOMO by retail investors. But let's have a look at Google Trends and we can compare it to what it was like in 2017 for Bitcoin. Okay, as you can see here, in 2017, the peak was much higher for Google search trends than it is right now in 2021. Let's see, it peaked here on the 3rd of Jan 2021. And for the last bull market, peaked around December 2017. So retail isn't really here. And like I said, it's mostly institutions. So we may not really be at the peak yet. Once all the, mum and dads that, know nothing about cryptocurrencies are getting into it, and once the barbers are getting into it and all that stuff, and you hear them talking about, maybe that's when we can say, okay, the peak's here. But again, nobody can predict the market. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm seeing a lot of crazy price predictions come out on YouTube, like Bitcoin to $1 million or Ethereum to $100,000. Who knows, it may happen one day, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. But like I said, again, the key question, is it too late? Now, this is a yes and no answer, and it also depends. I do think it's too late for these crazy gains of like 500% in a year. The market is maturing, the market cap is getting bigger, and the Bitcoin market cap is approaching $1 trillion. So for it to, 5x, go up 500%, we need an additional $4 trillion to be pumped into the market. And it's just not that easy. It's a lot easier for a market to go up 5x or 10x, say when the market cap's $100 million, because then all you need is $500 million, $1 billion to make the market 10x. But when you start getting in the trillions, the markets start to become more mature, and it takes a lot more capital to move these markets. But what I do think it's not too late if you're planning to invest for the long term. And when the long term, I'm not talking 2 years, I'm talking 10 years. I'm a long-term investor. I look for long-term investments because no one can really predict what's going to happen short term. For example, the stock market has been around hundreds of years. It's still going up. People are still investing in it. Do people say it's too late to invest in the stock market? Of course not. It's been a proven wealth building strategy to build wealth when you dollar cost average into index funds or good companies over long periods of times. You build wealth through compound interest. Same thing with real estate. Real estate's been around for hundreds of years. People say, nah, it's too late to invest in real estate. Of course they don't, because it's still a proven wealth building strategy. And with Bitcoin, it's only been around since 2008, 2009, just 12 years. So even though it's had this crazy exponential growth, that's because it's come from such a low market cap. It's really gone from, just people using it on the web, these so-called nerds just using it, to now it's slowly becoming a mainstream asset class from Wall Street and by corporations. And we are also seeing some, little minor financial process, I guess you could call them, like what happened with Wall Street bets. When people were attacking the stocks that were shorted by the big hedge funds, and then we had all the big hedge funds have a big cry that they lost money, and look at the market, it was rigged. All these trading apps that the retail investors were using, they were shut down. You couldn't buy the stock, but you could sell it. So clearly there was manipulation there. I think it was quite shocking what happened. And then we had people going to things like Dogecoin and Bitcoin because saying, okay, Wall Street's manipulated, we're going to go somewhere else where our money's treated best. So I do think it's still very risky to get in right now at these prices, especially when Bitcoin's at the peak. It's around $60,000 Australian right now as recording this, and around $47,000 US. It has had this crazy growth. But let's have a look at a compound interest calculator and see what Bitcoin would be in 10 years just growing at 30%. Now, Bitcoin has been going up on average over the past 10 years about 200% per year. So let's just be conservative and say it only goes up 30% for the next 10 years. Okay, so I've got my compound interest calculator here. We put in the initial price of $47,000 US at a compound interest rate of 30% per year. Now, every year is not going to be 30%. There'll be some years where it drops 60%, but then it could be some years where it goes up 200, 300%. We put it in for 10 years, and let's have a look what it would be after 10 years. That's right, $647,000. Can you imagine a time when Bitcoin is worth over $600,000 or even over $500,000? Well, I know it was hard to imagine a few years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, of Bitcoin reaching $50,000 US, but we're almost there. Bitcoin, when it first started, only used to be around $1. When it really first started, it was only like a penny, 10 cents, and it's had this crazy growth. So even though this may seem crazy now, in 10 years, it may not be that much. So when you look at it in this retrospect, we still are early when you're looking at a long-term approach. But unfortunately, what a lot of people will do is they're going to FOMO in right now. They're going to invest money they can't afford. They're going to invest money on leverage. I see a lot of leverage trading going on right now. There's apps where you can trade 100x leverage. I think it's really dangerous that a lot of these amateurs are just doing this, and it's really not really investing. It's more like gambling. So short term, I do think it's too late for these crazy gains. But who knows, it still could go up another 300% in a few months or over the next year if a lot of big corporations do start getting in. A lot of people are speculating that Apple may start buying cryptocurrencies or offering cryptocurrencies. And now I'm also going to get into what happened to me in 2017 and how I got what they call now the internet wreck. So in 2017, I discovered Bitcoin when it was around $1,800 Australian, so that'll probably be around $1,300 US. Started playing around with it, investing in it, and then I sold it when it hit around $5,000. And then I discovered these altcoins. There's other cryptocurrencies, around 8,000 different cryptocurrencies. There's a top 10, top 20, top 30. They're more what you call blue chip cryptocurrencies. Most of them actually have a working product. But in 2017, there was a lot of speculation. These altcoins, some were going up, 10, 20, 50x in a year. And, you could put $1,000 in, and after a year, it could be $500,000 on some of these crazy gains. So what I did is took my money out of Bitcoin and started going into these low cap coins, which were just getting pumped. And also another big problem is I chase the pumps. I'd see a coin go up 100%. I'm like, oh, this one's going to the moon, and I jump into that one. That's what you don't want to do. You want to get into good, solid projects which haven't been pumped, which are, I guess what you could call it, undervalued, even though it's so hard to value these cryptocurrencies right now. And you could say a lot of them are overvalued. But, if you go on CoinMarketCap and you see a coin up 200%, or here in Australia, CoinSpot or CoinJar, whatever, you don't want to FOMO into those, because a lot of times there is a dump afterwards, and there is a lot of pump and dump groups out there that go and target these low cap cryptocurrencies, because if their market cap is only $10 million, $50 million, it's a lot easier to move those markets than cryptocurrencies that have a market cap of 10 billion, 20 billion. So that's the lesson I learned from 2017, not speculating into these smaller cap cryptocurrencies, staying together with Bitcoin, Ethereum. They're the two, I guess you could say, safest bets, even though Bitcoin and Ethereum are still so risky to invest in. And also just diversifying into a few good quality products in the other altcoin markets. Like I like Cardano, I like Chainlink, I like Litecoin, some DeFi projects like Aave, where there's DeFi I think is amazing, where you can actually get yield. With most bank accounts right now you can't get any yield, but with some of these DeFi projects where you put stable coins, you can get anywhere from 5 to 15% interest on your money. Now, still questionable how safe they are. Hopefully they do become more legit over time, but it definitely is a very interesting concept. So now how the cycles normally work. So we've seen Bitcoin have this crazy run up, and it's cooled off a bit since yesterday. And normally when Bitcoin goes sideways or just slowly creeps up or just goes down a little bit, the altcoins then move, like Ethereum, the top 10, top 20, and all the way down. So there may still be some more opportunities in good product in the altcoin market. We haven't really, so there may be some good opportunities in some of the altcoins. They still may see a run, but again, these are a lot more risky. And when eventually the cycle does end and we enter into a cryptocurrency bear market, they can fall up to 90%. Like I said, again, nobody can predict this crazy market. It's so volatile, so unpredictable. It is a new asset class, so it's so hard to predict. But if we do see more large corporations getting in on Bitcoin, we could see some more further big gains. I do think it is too late for these crazy gains like we've had here, where, let's have a look here, in March, it's around $6,000. And now, of course, it's shot all the way up to $46,000. I do think if you're going into this, for a long-term investment, like 10 years, who knows, maybe we could reach those $500,000, $1 million Bitcoins. Nobody can really tell. But I am diversifying into Bitcoin, just like any other portfolio, allocating a small amount to that relative to my other investments. And who knows, what could happen. But I am allocating a small amount of my portfolio into Bitcoin. I do see it as a hedge against all the money printing that's going on right now. And it is kind of like a protest to the mainstream, to Wall Street, to say, you know what, we're sick of your manipulation. So I am allocating a small part of my portfolio to Bitcoin as a long-term investment. Again, please don't, go crazy and put all your money in Bitcoin thinking it's going to go to the moon and make you rich, all these other altcoins. In the short term, long term, I do think a lot of them are very promising. And, you can make some crazy life-changing wealth if you're lucky. Could there be a crash coming? With Bitcoin, there's always crashes coming. Another thing you have to be aware of, 20 to 40% corrections in these markets are very normal. But up to 80% corrections do happen in the bear markets. But I think the market is maturing, and with a lot of this more capital coming from these large corporations, we may not see as big of a crash as in 2017 with this market, because there are a lot more bigger institutions which are investing in it for the long term. So who knows, maybe we may only see it 60, 70%, or I guess only 67% is still huge, but not as big as the last one. So guys, what do you think about this? I think this has been very entertaining to watch. I've made some decent gains on Bitcoin. It's been awesome. I've been in dollar cost averaging since last year. Are you investing in Bitcoin, or are you investing in the altcoins? We're going to have to keep watching this and monitoring this. Let me know down below. And for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. And if you haven't already, smash the like button for the whole YouTube algorithm. Subscribe. I'll keep you all up to date on the latest property market, investing, and economic news. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.